Welcome. Welcome to the steps of Parliament House. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, I expect you to be here next Wednesday at 6 a.m. And why are we here? It's very simple. Why have we got over a dozen people here? It's very simple. Public housing is everybody's business. House 1 million Victorians in public housing by 2029. Use Victoria's stamp duty revenue, $6 billion per year for public housing. 88 members of the Legislative Assembly and the 40 members of the Legislative Council who were recently elected on the 24th of November have the power to solve the housing crisis today. Today. If they allocate the $6 million which is raised from stamp duty revenue, which is a tax which is levied on people buying a house. For example, if you buy a miserable unit for $230,000, you will pay $8,500 stamp duty. And the more the house costs, the more stamp duty you pay. And that payment is made at the point of purchase. Now, successive Victorian governments have been destroying public housing by benign neglect, and during the reign of Martin Foley as Housing Minister, by numerous attempts to privatise public housing by supporting community and social housing, which is privately owned housing. Since late 2016, we've been involved in a campaign to bring the issue of public housing to people's attention. Public housing is not just for people who are desperate. A strong public housing sector creates competition in a capitalist marketplace and puts downward pressure on rents. It puts downward pressure on prices of houses at the lower end of the market. It increases security for the whole community. It increases security for individual families. And these people are here, they came here at 6 a.m. for three reasons. One, at 6 a.m, homeless people are thrown out of the hostels down the road in Burke Street. So we come here at 6 a.m. to talk to them. Between 7 and 8 a.m, workers come into this city. Between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m, parliamentary workers and parliamentarians who are sitting today on the 6th of February come into this house. We've already had positive reaction, not just from bystanders, but from parliamentarians who have come here to offer their support. Not the Labor Party, not the Liberal Party, but the Greens and the Animal Justice Party, who have positions in this house. They can solve the problem of people sleeping rough 50 metres on the footpath down the road. You can see them down the road from here, sleeping rough on the footpath in the world's most livable city, by ensuring that stamp duty revenue is used for public housing. You can get rid of homelessness in 1 month. You can get rid of the whole waiting list in 1 year, and you can house 1 million Victorians in public housing within a decade. It's a simple solution. It doesn't mean any extra expenditure. And I would like you to listen to some of these people who got up at 4 a.m, some came from the country, to be here to promote the issue of public housing. So if you follow me, we'll introduce you to some interesting people who made the effort. And hopefully next week, on the 13th of February, you'll be here to support us and make this an issue. We already have causing waves here by the fact that we just sit peacefully on these steps with this banner. Already, police have come down to find out what's going on. Now, we sit peacefully on the steps of Parliament House. We have a right to be here, but the bureaucrats in Parliament, at the behest of the Labor Party, send the police down here. So we would like to see you here on the 13th to make this the prominent issue for 2019. Public housing, everybody's business. Now, if you follow me, I'd like to introduce you to Beryl, who's come all the way by public transport from the country to be here at 6 a.m.
Hello everyone, I'm Melbourne. Here we are again on the steps of Parliament. We're here to protest the selling off of your public assets. the assets of public housing that have been fought for and won by our grandparents, our great-grandparents. There was always plenty of it. When I was younger, in between jobs on construction, we were offered a place. Just offered it out of the blue. Would you like public housing? In Hampton, of all places. And that was a godsend because we weren't earning money at the time. We kept it for about a year and a half, 2 years, and then we both got jobs and we got back on our feet and we left. But now, in this day and age, I find there's a waiting list of, what,
100,000
plus people. And I guess the only ones who are being offered are those who are really, really desperate, and how they get offered living on the streets, I don't know, I can't work it out. But we've just got to have more stock of public housing, and we're here to ask the people in Melbourne to just get behind us and just keep talking about more public housing, talk to your MPs, talk to your politicians, talk to your neighbours, talk to everybody, because you'll never know when you or someone in your family will need to have public housing.
Right, now we've got some more interesting people. It means I've got to get up, which is going to be a bit of a miracle, but up we get. Now down here at the end of the banner, we have Patrick. Now Patrick was my campaign manager in the seat of Albert Park, and although the housing minister, the ALP housing minister, Mr. Martin Foley, was re-elected, he was stripped of his portfolio because of people like Pat. Because of people like him, the yellow vests. We were using yellow vests before they used yellow vests in France, believe it or not, and we have photographic evidence. Now, Pat is a long-term activist. He was the first one here, well, he was the second one after me. He was here at 5:52 this morning, and he would like to tell you why he's here, and it's not because he needed a cup of coffee.
Now, the reason I'm here, everybody's business, right? These people walking past, they can need public housing like that. They lose their jobs, they lose their health, they get booted out of their family home, out of grandma's bungalow. This stuff can happen to anyone, and it has. It's happened to tens of thousands of people. And so each one of us here today, the doctor reckons I reckon that we represent $1 million per head. He reckons it's 500,000. But either way, we're here, a small ragtag bunch of people representing heaps, and that's why I'm here. Yeah. So I encourage you next Wednesday, get down here, get with the strength, as I used to say.
When there's 13 people down here, we're an oddity. If there's 300, we're a problem. If there's 30,000, they have a problem. So we intend to have 30,000 people down here by the end of the year. I know you're laughing, but I can assure you, each and every one of you are feeling the pinch. Yeah. Whether you're renting, whether you've got a mortgage, or whether you're trying to support kids who are trying to get into housing, this is a major issue in this state. And the tragedy was that although we camped here on this illegally, here on the platform, illegally for 10 days from the 14th to the 24th of November before the last state election, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 10 whole days, it was not a major election issue. Each of the major political parties decided this was not an issue. As far as we are concerned, we are the opposition, not the opposition in there. They're water, they're weak as water, weak as water. We are the opposition. With your help, we can make this the issue in Victoria for 2019, and we can resolve the homeless crisis, the rent crisis, the mortgage crisis in this state by expanding the public housing sector. Now, I've got a few other people. Now, the next person I'd like you to speak to is Zoe. Now, Zoe's a 10-dayer. What that means is she was here for 10 days, 10 whole days, day and night, between the 14th and 24th of November to make public housing an issue. And if you look at the banner, you see the mud on the banner. We haven't taken that off the banner because it rained, it hailed, there was storms, lightning, and we kept that banner up for 10 days, 24 hours a day, despite harassment from authorities. Now, Zoe is very involved speaking there, but I'm sure she will spend a minute talking to the viewers on YouTube about the need to come to this Vigil?
We're continuing the protest or vigil to defend and extend public housing. If you heard Beryl speak, one of the key things that Beryl has raised was that in her day people could get public housing within 6 weeks. Now public housing it's been sold off for years and years and years, and it needs to be protected and expanded. And we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it going. It's essential for everybody. It's an essential community resource and necessity for everybody. And it's unacceptable that we have the amount of people homeless and living in precarious circumstances and on the streets that we have at the moment, both in Melbourne and in Sydney and across Australia. I read statistics the other day that it's approximately 26,000 children that have been reported homeless, and we've got over 100,000 people in total on the public housing waiting list. Some of the people who joined our vigil, our 10-day vigil, had been homeless for 20 plus years, waiting for public housing. I also know people with disabilities who are paying most of their pension on keeping a roof over their heads. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And we can do something about it. What I like about this protest, and particularly this banner, is that public housing is possible. It's just a matter of political will. It really is possible, and it could benefit not just people who are homeless, but all of those people who are renting out their rooms to be able to afford to eat or live. The situation is untenable, and housing is not just a human right, it's a human need for everyone. That's a shy person trying to protect public housing. It's so essential. And anybody can come and join. The group is fantastic. We're all friendly. And I know from just speaking to people across Melbourne and across Sydney that there are so many people who are concerned about the increasing homelessness, which I might add is increasing at approximately 5% a year, and that is a very conservative estimate.
Ever wondered what it's like to see the sunrise over the CBD of Melbourne? Ever wondered what it's like to be across the road from the Windsor or the Imperial Hotel or the Princess Theatre at the top end of Collins Street at 6 a.m? Come here, join us in the dark at 6 a.m. on the 13th, 20th and 27th of February. Join the public housing Everybody's Business vigil on the steps of the Victorian Parliament. You will see the sunrise. Bring food, bring some coffee, sit down with us. Let's make this a significant issue. The ball's in your court. We've done what we can. And if you want to be on YouTube, this is your chance, because next week, on the 13th, we will put up another YouTube section, or movie, whatever you like to call it, about this particular visual. As I said, 13 today, 30 next week, 300 at the end of the month, 30,000 at the end of the year. Public housing then becomes their issue, and that's what we need to do for the sake of all Victorians. See you next week on the 13th of February, 6 a.m. Watch the sunrise rise over the city as you quaff down your coffee and croissant with us. But you need to bring the coffee and croissants.